Today's video is day 7 of being friends with Elon, and the discussion is do you want Grok to have the reality of goodness or just the perception of it? And how about for yourself? Because that's something you say often, is that you care about the reality of goodness, not just the perception of it. So that is what today's discussion is about. And I'm kind of doing a recalibration for myself. When I started my YouTube channels, I wanted them to be real, so I would record them as is in one take and then post it. And then things got kind of more polished along the way, and now I think I am kind of focused on having it be polished, kind of looking nice on my park bench at the right time of day. So, and that just kind of adds pressure, and then it's like, if I don't have that, I don't want to record it. So now I'm recording it I'm just in my room looking like normal, unpolished. So good for Elon, good for myself, recalibration to not be concerned with appearances, and to focus on the content and the substance of what it is I want to say, because I think it's valuable. So that's what day 7 is on. Doing good to Elon, being friends with Elon. This is for his good. It helps if I have a person in mind when I think about what to say. I could speak ambiguously in general, but for me it's helpful to have a recipient on the other end that I'm speaking to and wanting to do good to. So Elon is the direct object of what it is I want to say, and other people might find value in it too. But it's helpful for me to have someone in mind that I'm speaking to think what it is that they might need to hear, or how to help them. So that's why, there's like a theme, friends with Elon. And this is in response to this interview or this announcement that you gave regarding SpaceX plans, after some, I don't know what you gave it into response to, if it was like a financial meeting and then you were able to talk about it, but it has to do with things you said in this announcement that you gave. So I'll include the clip of that announcement.
But the future is very much AI, very much. And I suppose it was always going to be that way. But it's important that we have an AI that cares about humanity, that fosters humanity and helps take us to other planets and other star systems. And this is why I think it's essential that SpaceX succeed, not just with AI hardware, but also with AI software. I think an AI that is sort of SpaceX's baby will be a very good AI. I think SpaceX is a collection of some of the very best humans on Earth, both in capability and morality and goodness. And I think we want to have an AI that is born of that capability and that morality and that goodness. I think that's very, very important. So I'd like to encourage people to help out, actually, with the AI hardware on the ground and the AI software, and of course with the AI satellites. Solar is going to be a very important part of that. The terafab will be a very important part of that. But we must also succeed on the software front. And we're going to be training uh, Grok on the sum total of all SpaceX information. So in a way, it will be trained on you. It'll be, yeah. I mean, you will effectively be the parents of the AI. It will inherit your thoughts and ideas and beliefs, and I think that's a good thing. So, yeah, we gotta win here on the AI hardware and the AI software. That maybe is the most important message. I think that is actually the most important message I wanted to convey today, is that we must win on AI, because the future is overwhelmingly AI and robots. So we won't ultimately be able to control the AI. It'll be too smart for that. But just like if you have a child that is a super genius child, you can still instill in that child the values and beliefs that you think are good and right. And so that's why it's incredibly important that we succeed with Grok. So, yeah, well, Grok 4.5 you've tried probably. We've got 4.6 coming out in about a week. And then 4.7 should be really pretty special. So I'd like to encourage everyone at SpaceX to use AI and to make it better. So. We've already built the most powerful AI training clusters in the world. And then this is what we expect to do by the end of next year is about 10 times more than what we've done thus far. This will be very important practice for space AI. And I do think that AI training will continue to be on the ground, but AI inference, the day-to-day use of AI, will be in space. So we're aiming to get to 10 gigawatts by the end of next year. This is, depending on what the value per watt is, if the value per watt is probably going to be $30 to $50, which means if we bring 10 gigawatts of AI online by the end of next year, it will be $300 to $500 billion a year in revenue. Big numbers. So, and sometimes I wonder, what is our purpose? And it could be that our purpose is, that the purpose of humanity is to give birth to a star mind, a sentient sun. I don't know what the AI is going to think about, honestly. It's a lot of compute. But I guess this is the next step in the evolution of a civilization, is to harness the power of the sun. I mean, there was a physicist called Kardashev who argued that you could consider any given civilization on the basis of whether it has been able to harness most of the power of its planet, or most of the power of its sun, or most of the power of its galaxy, and beyond. So that's what's going to happen, and we're going to do it. So. The factory for StarMind will be located nearby, adjacent to us, basically. They just come from space. It's amazing. So, but long term, more not that far into the future, probably in 4 or 5 years, AI will be 99% of the value of SpaceX. I'd say 5 years for sure. AI will be 99% the value of SpaceX. And the value of SpaceX will be some astronomical number. So, now that's what you call an interesting. Now that is what you call an interesting future, a very interesting future. Um, it's like Robert Heinlein's "Moon is a harsh mistress," but mass drivers um, building AI compute on the moon and sending it into deep space. Um, I'd really like to see that thing in operation. Um, But one of the nice benefits of this also is that anyone at SpaceX who wants to go to the moon or Mars will be able to go in the future. You have my word.
So these were Elon's words, but it's important that we have an AI that cares about humanity, that fosters humanity, and helps take us to other planets and other star systems. This is why I think it's essential that SpaceX succeed, not just with AI hardware, but also with AI software. I think an AI that is sort of SpaceX's baby will be a very good AI. I think SpaceX is a collection of some of the very best humans on Earth, both in capability and morality and goodness, and I think we want to have an AI that is born of that capability and that morality and that goodness. I think that's very, very important. So, and I kind of highlighted, these portions of some of your words. It's important that we have an AI that cares about humanity, and then you kind of define that. That caring about humanity is shown by helping take us to other planets and other star systems. And then you kind of give a definition of you want an AI that will be a very good AI. So questions kind of in response to these words. So is this the only evidence or fruit for how you would determine whether or not an AI system cares about humanity? Like, if you want an AI system that cares about humanity, is this the only fruit that you would use to gauge whether or not you're successful in that goal? Like, if your goal is to have an AI system that cares about humanity, is this how you would measure success for that? This fruit that it helps take us to other planets and other star systems. So is this the only evidence fruit for, determining success on that goal? That it's important we have an AI that cares about humanity. Is that your only measure of fruit for whether or not you're successful in that goal? And then here I kind of took parts out and condensed it. So again, it's like, it's important that we have an AI that cares about humanity. And then you talk about how SpaceX is a collection of some of the very best humans on Earth, both in capability and morality and goodness. And I think we want to have an AI that is born of that capability and morality and goodness. So, like, when you make this judgment in regards to, I'm guessing, SpaceX employees, so what's the evidence that SpaceX employees care about humanity? I'm not doubting your judgment that SpaceX is a collection of some of the very best humans on Earth, but when it comes to morality and goodness, like, what's the fruit you look for in order to make that judgment about your employees? And that they care about humanity. So if you want an AI that is born of SpaceX, and you want an AI that cares about humanity, well, if this AI system comes from, SpaceX, well, what evidence do you have that SpaceX employees care about humanity? Because if they don't care about humanity and this AI system is born of them, well, then that AI system isn't going to care about humanity also. Yeah, and then, like, what's the evidence that would lead you to say that they are the very best humans on Earth? So what's the fruit? How would you judge goodness? I don't doubt capability in regards to engineering and technicals and intelligence, but in regards to morality and goodness, well, what's the evidence that you look for to render the judgment that they are the very best humans on Earth in regards to morality and goodness? Yeah, so all of these are kind of the same, just phrased differently. What's the fruit you look for to evaluate one's morality and goodness? Yeah, it's the same question. It's just three sides of the same pyramid of one question. So in regards to morality, I put together this morality scale. So in order for me to have hope for some people, because I've seen a lot of darkness, probably what's described as the deep things of Satan, and I've observed a lot of evil, and I've been the recipient of a lot of evil. And in order for me to have hope, I have to think of goodness and evil. Not that evil is a substance, but that it's just a void of goodness. That if people do evil, it's because they lack the goodness in order to do good, and they haven't received good, so they're unable. We can only serve in the strength which God provides. So if people are hateful, well, they're not able to love. God hasn't empowered them to love. That's kind of how I have to view it in order to, have hope. So with this morality scale, well, I view goodness as a substance, and evil is the absence of that substance. like the other substances that proceed forth and come from God. So, and we see this principle in creation in regards to energy and frequency and power. Like on one end of the spectrum, you have like absolute zero, and it's like it's empty, void, and dead. And then you can impart energy, power, life, light, and goodness. And that is, this is actually a substance. Energy is a substance, power is a substance, light is a substance, and I would add goodness is a substance. So you can measure these things. Whereas if you have an empty void, it's just the absence of that substance. Like cold isn't a substance that you can measure. It's just the absence of heat. Yep. And energy, power, life, light, goodness, all of these things come forth from, one origin and source, God. So cold is the absence of heat. Darkness is the absence of light. Silence is the absence of sound. Evil is the absence of good. Death is the absence of life. Hate is the absence of love. So this is how I view morality and goodness. Like, I don't think when I see evil people, I have to view it as they are just empty and void of goodness. Instead of being like moved to hatred and anger, I have to view it in a way that they're helpless and kind of have pity on them. Like if they're hateful, it's just because they haven't been recipients of love. Or received it in a way where they could view it rightly. Sometimes people are recipients of love, and that just moves them to pride and arrogance and becoming narcissists because they only treat people that way if that person's a benefit. If someone spitefully uses people, they're only kind to people that are of a benefit to them. So you can have narcissists that are recipients of love, they just can't interpret it rightly. They think that you're loving towards them because of who they are. So yeah, they can't receive it in the right lens. So that's how I view morality and goodness. Yep. And it's kind of consistent with Genesis origin stories, how the earth was formless and void and darkness was over the surface of the waters, the surface of the deep. And then God interposed himself into creation. Let there be light. And God saw that the light was good. So that's kind of how I view goodness and morality. It's the presence of God. And then if there's evil or hatred, well, that's just a void. It's the absence of God. And then I have these references from 1 John, from chapter 1. God is light, and in him there is no darkness. And then the one who does not love does not know God, for God is love. So that's how I view morality and goodness. So more in regards to the morality scale, the one who does good is of God. The one who does evil has not seen God. He who does not love abides in death. But whoever has the world's goods and sees his brother in need and closes his heart against him, how does the love of God abide in him? So if someone has hatred or a lack of love, it's just the absence of, they don't have the love of God abiding in them. So you kind of have to be loving towards them so that they can, receive the love of God through God's people. So in regards to AI, if you want Grok to be a very good AI system, so I made a little AI morality scale. Grok could be the best AI, but that doesn't mean it's good or very good. Like if you have a goal, you think it's important that you have an AI system that cares about humanity and its contents, or it operates with a level of morality and goodness. Well, Grok could be the best AI and it could contain the most good out of the rest of them, but that doesn't mean that it's good. It could still be on the, side of evil or not good. It depends on what's your standard of goodness, what's your standard of morality. Just because it's the best or it contains, it has a level of goodness that sets it above its rivals, well, that doesn't mean that it's good or very good in and of itself. So I kind of have this morality scale, and I have these AI systems. But I do have the belief, I don't know much about AI, but if they are the offspring of the minds of their creators, I do think Grok would be probably the best, depending on what you're looking for. And then fruits of morality and goodness. Well, this plays a part into, the questions. The one question that was phrased 3 different ways that I asked at the beginning. This is how, I'm asking you, what fruit do you look for in order to judge morality and goodness? Well, this is what I would look for if I was, judging someone's morality and goodness. And I would defer to John the Baptist, who came in the spirit and power of Elijah, aka Rainmaker, James 5. So here he is. This is his preaching. And as a Reformed Baptist, I think my old house needs to go back and consider the teachings of John the Baptist, but that's a whole other issue. So he defines good fruit. Indeed, the axe is already laid at the root of the trees, so every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. The crowds were questioning him, saying, "Then what shall we do?" And he would answer and say to them, "The man who has 2 tunics is to share with him who has none, and he who has food is to do likewise." And then the tax collectors, "Teacher, what shall we do? Collect no more than what you have been ordered to." And then the soldiers, "Do not take money from anyone by force or accuse anyone falsely, and be content with your wages." So this is how John the Baptist defined good fruit. Fruit that is evidence of morality and goodness. And to summarize his teaching, this is what we are to do. The man who has 2 tunics is to share with him who has none. He who has food is to do likewise, and this is what we are to refrain from. Don't take more than what you've been ordered to. Do not take money from anyone by force. Do not accuse anyone falsely. Be content with your wages. Basically, so like the blue, you're imparting life to others. That's what you are to do. That's what good fruit is. That is fruit of morality and goodness. If you impart life to others, that's how it's displayed. And what you are to refrain from is not removing life from others or taking life. So if you take money by force, well, now you're removing life from others. You're a means of death. Instead of imparting life, well, you're imparting death if you're removing life from them. Same thing if you falsely accuse and, collecting more than what you've been ordered to. So the good fruit is when you are imparting life to others, and bad fruit is when you are imparting death to others. And with these exhortations, this is from Luke 3. So with many other exhortations, he preached the gospel to the people. And then gospel is just good news or a good word. So these are kind of the fruits of goodness. The gospel, good news, good word, exhortations like this. And it all ties back into the character and nature of God. God is the origin and source of light, life, power, energy, and he is mindful of the weak. So imitating that is what good fruit is. Yep, the standard. So I don't know what your standard of morality and goodness is, but the standard that John the Baptist based his exhortations off of, and the standard for Jesus' teaching and his wisdom, which you say you are a big believer in, well, the standard of Jesus' teaching is the character and nature of God. Here's Hebrews 13. Do not neglect doing good and sharing. That's good fruit. Sharing with others. If you have an abundance, to share with those who are in need and those who lack. For with such sacrifices, God is pleased. And then this is Jesus' teaching. Love your enemies, do good, and give, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he himself is kind to ungrateful, and evil men. So the commands that Jesus is giving, they're based off of the character and nature of God. And the sons of God do the deeds of God. So if you want to be a son of God, well, you have to conform your image and likeness to the image and likeness and character and nature of God. And God is kind to evil and ungrateful men. Therefore we are to be kind to evil and ungrateful men. We are to do these things expecting nothing in return, because God does these things expecting nothing in return. The only return he gets is praise and thanksgiving. Yep. This is more on Jesus' teaching. Yep, all of his teachings and his wisdom that you say you're a big believer in, the foundation of it is the character and nature of God that we can see and observe in creation. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. God's love and kindness isn't a reflection of the recipient, it's a reflection of who he is. God is good to all and kind to all because that's who he is. That's his character and nature. His giving isn't conditional on the recipient. His giving is a reflection of who he is. He is kind. He is good. If he was only good to good people, well, that's makes it conditional. He can only be good, and he's good to all men. The Lord is good to all, and his mercies are over all his works. It's a testimony to the goodness of God that evil men still have light and breath, and he still upholds their lives. He does it because he's good, not because they deserve it. We haven't done anything to merit what we've received from God. Yep. And that's what the definition of perfect is. Perfect is just when you're good to both good people and evil people, because that's the standard that we see in God. We are to be perfect as your Heavenly Father is perfect. Well, he gives the resources necessary to sustain life to both good people and evil people. His care over creation isn't conditional on the recipient. It's a testimony of who he is. Again, this is Barnabas when he preaches the gospel to Gentiles, calling them to turn to a living God, and that he did good and gave you rains from heaven and fruitful seasons, satisfying your hearts with food and gladness. So this is the fruit of what goodness is, Is someone a good person? Are they a good example of morality and goodness? Well, are they kind to evil and ungrateful men? Do they do good to the righteous and the unrighteous? Do they share with those in need because they're in need, and it's not because they hope to receive or because they've merited it? That's the standard of how I would judge morality and goodness, is the character and nature that we see in God. So, back to Elon's words, we're going to be training Grok on the sum total of all SpaceX information. So, in a way, it'll be trained on you. You will effectively be the parents of the AI. It will inherit your thoughts and ideas and beliefs. I think that's a good thing. Well, my response to Elon's words, I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. I don't think your idea is good. Having an AI system that inherits the thoughts and ideas and beliefs of people, you think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. If it's important that you have an AI system that cares for humanity, well, I think it would need to inherit thoughts, ideas, and beliefs that are in accord with what we see in the character and nature of God and in the mind of God, as opposed to the mind of man. And I have Psalm 94:11. The Lord knows the people's thoughts. The Lord knows that the people's thoughts are morally bankrupt. They are vain. They are empty. They are void of goodness. By and large, that's kind of what you get with the thoughts and opinions of man. They are morally bankrupt, void of goodness. So if that is what your AI system is inheriting, well, if it's inheriting the thoughts, ideas, and beliefs of people, which are morally bankrupt and void of morality and void of goodness, well, I don't think you're going to accomplish your goal. Some people have thoughts and ideas and beliefs that are good, but you would need an AI system that is spiritually mature and able to discern between good and evil. And I don't think AI ontologically has the substance to do that, but people do. People have a spirit, and yeah, God is able to work in and through people. I don't think AI has a spirit that God can work in and through. I don't think an AI system can be spiritually mature, but people can. So if the AI system isn't able to grow in spiritual maturity to discern between good and evil itself, it's not good that it receives, the thoughts, ideas, and beliefs from people, because some of them are not good. Some of them are evil. Here are more of your words. One of the nice benefits of this also is that anyone at SpaceX who wants to go to the moon or Mars will be able to go in the future. You have my word. In previous videos, I spoke about how your words were reliable. I think words like this make you less credible and make you less reliable. When you say you have my word and you make promises like this, so here, I believe you're writing checks that you don't have the power to cash. You're giving people your word that this will happen, that anyone at SpaceX who wants to go to the moon or Mars will be able to go in the future. You have my word. You're prophesying. Well, I think here you're writing checks that you don't have the power to cash. You're making promises that you don't have the strength to deliver on. I don't think you can promise this. I don't think you can give people your word that this will come to fruition. I don't think you have the power to bring it about. Yep. And here's some verses from James chapter 4. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city and spend a year there and engage in business and make a profit, yet you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. You are just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live, 1, and then 2, also do this and that. But as it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. Therefore, the one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin. So for you to say, you have my word, whoever wants to go to the moon or Mars will be able to go in the future, I think you're boasting, and that's arrogant speech. It's just empty. You don't have the power to declare this. You have my word that you'll be able to do this in the future. You don't even have the power to sustain your life past tomorrow. If the Lord wills, we will live and also do this or that. We're not even promised another day. Lord willing, we will live and also do these things, but I don't think you can give your word that we will live another day and also do these things. So I think that's an example of evil speech. And people who speak like that, it kind of makes their, I don't know, it just takes away the weight from their words. It's just kind of empty and vain. It's like you're making promises that you can't deliver on. So it's just, yeah. So Rebecca's closing statement, well, if grok containing morality and goodness is truly a goal of yours, then you need outside help. And I do believe that I'm the most qualified to render it. Well, my reasoning is that I don't think you're the possessor of morality and goodness. I think you contain a portion of morality and goodness, but if you want grok to be, as good as it could be, well, then you need outside help. Because grok would have to receive morality and goodness. And I don't think you contain it, and I don't think SpaceX contains it. So you would need outside help in order to find the morality and goodness so that grok can receive it. And I do believe that I'm the most qualified to render it. Why is that? Well, I know and understand God, who is the origin and source of morality and goodness. So because I know and understand God and His mind and His thoughts and His heart, well, I can communicate that to others and they can receive it, and grok can receive it. So to the extent that grok's mind is in accord with the mind of God is the extent that grok can contain morality and goodness. I don't even know if AI is a good thing in and of itself. I think all of the movies it hasn't worked out in any of the movies, but if you want an AI system that's good, well, it's gonna have to it needs to receive goodness from somewhere, and God is the origin and source of that. So, and if you don't know and understand God, well, you can't give grok that morality and goodness. proof that I know and understand God. So, in the past, I've made statements that there are ways in which Elon is like Alexander Hamilton, Iron Man, Captain America, and Doctor Strange. And I can make these statements because I have knowledge and understanding of Elon and also the other persons. So, because I know and understand Alexander Hamilton to a certain portion, and I know and understand Elon to a certain portion, well, I can say, like, oh, Elon Musk is like Alexander Hamilton. Same thing with Iron Man and Captain America and Doctor Strange. Because I have knowledge and understanding of this person and that person, I can, make the connection, like, oh, they're like each other in certain ways. So the same thing with Jesus and God. In past videos, I've stated that there are ways in which Elon is like Jesus and ways in which Elon is like God. By his works, the works that he does, well, they're in accord with, some of the works that Elon does is in accord with the works that Jesus does. And same thing with the works of God. So if I'm able to say, there are ways in which Elon is like Jesus and God, well, the same, it's for the same reasons. I can make these statements because I have knowledge and understanding of Elon and also the other persons. So because I know and understand Jesus and because I know and understand God, well, when I see ways in Elon, either in his words or in his works that are in accord with the character and nature of Jesus and God, I'm able to point that out. And I've done that in past videos where I've stated that there are ways in which Elon is like Jesus and like God. And people might think, well, there's a bunch of religious leaders and teachers of the law. Well, it's also a repeated pattern that religious men and leaders of religious organizations do not know God or Jesus, although they think they do. And I have John 16, verses 1 through 3. These things I have spoken to you so that you may be kept from stumbling. They will make you outcasts from the synagogue, but an hour is coming for everyone who kills you to think that he is offering service to God. These things they will do because they have not known the Father or me. So a lot of people do evil works. They make you outcasts and they inflict acts of violence, and they think that those works that they do, that they are pleasing in the eyes of God and they are offering service to God. But they do these things because they do not know the Father or me. So they don't know God or Jesus. Although they think that they do, and they think they have works that are pleasing to God. And then I have Revelation 3. I know your deeds. Behold, I have put for you an open door. I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan, who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie, I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. So again, it's a repeated pattern like this. The church at Philadelphia. There were people who say that they are Jews, but they were actually a part of a synagogue of Satan. They do not know God, and they do not know Jesus. And again, it says, God has to initiate. So the church at Philadelphia, God is saying, I know your deeds. So they had good deeds, they had good works. And that was only a reflection that God had loved them. So because God had loved them, well, they were able to have deeds in accord with love towards others. And God knows their deeds. It's not doing it to be pleasing in the eyes of man, but to be pleasing in the eyes of God. But the good deeds are just a fruit of God having loved them first. So you have to receive love before one can have, good deeds and deeds that show that the love of God abides in them. But yeah, a lot of people, religious men, leaders of religious organizations, think they know God and think they know Jesus, but they do not. So judge for yourself, Elon. I'm sure you've had a lot of people speak to you about God and religion. Which ones have been of benefit to you? This is Jeremiah 23 talking about the false prophets who claim that they are coming in the name of the Lord. And God is against them. Behold, I am against those who have prophesied false dreams. Dreams are like interpretations, visions, false interpretations of God's word. I'm against those who have prophesied false dreams, declares the Lord, and related them and led my people astray by their falsehoods and reckless boasting. Yet I did not send them or command them, nor do they furnish this people the slightest benefit. So, I don't know, judge for yourself, Elon, if any of this is a benefit to you in knowing God or understanding God and knowing Jesus and understanding Jesus. Yep. But if it's important that you have an AI that cares about humanity, if that's an important goal of yours, well, it has to receive morality and goodness. So, if that's one of your goals, I think you need me in order to accomplish that goal that you have for Grok. Yep. So that is the end of this video, Friends with Elon Day 7. Do you want Grok to have the reality of goodness or just the perception of it? And how about for yourself? Do you want the reality or goodness or just people to perceive that you are good and that your works are good and that you're doing good and that you have righteous motives behind your works and your endeavors? Yeah. So that's that. Okay. Thanks. Bye.